Let's talk today about what a lot of people describe as psychic powers. The most common of these being empathic powers. What empathic powers are is like you look at someone and you just automatically know what they're feeling. A lot of people claim this is a very powerful psychic power of some kind, but that's not true. And there's a very good biological reason for that. Humans have evolved over the hundreds and millions of years of evolution to be incredibly social creatures. You know, and that's just a trait that all mammals share. Most mammals are incredibly social to some degree or another. Not all, but most of them are. And with humans especially, this has been important because it's been a key to our survival, both in hunting and reproducing and social interactions and all that. So we've evolved quite heavily to be emotional, because emotions will convey a sense of feeling and what's going on. What that means is that not only are we very visual with our emotions, like you can see them quite easily, but we're also very good at sensing emotions, just by looking at someone. The reason this feels like it's some kind of special psychic power is because it's not a conscious thought. You don't look at someone and analyze their body language consciously to come to a conclusion about what they're feeling. What you're doing is looking at them and just automatically processing that information in your head. That's not psychic powers, that's your brain just working automatically to figure out information on its own. It's no more psychic than you being able to tell someone whether it's hot or cold or whether something hurts or feels good. Because that kind of stuff's just as automatic as you picking up on someone's emotions. And, occasionally you'll say you feel their emotions. Well, that too is a very biological reason for that. You see, let's say we were still living in the wild and then you saw on one of your clansmates' faces that they were afraid. You would feel afraid too, because your group interactions, the entire group would then be aware that something is wrong. Other mammals show this same kind of social interactions, and birds too, where if one member of the group is afraid, the entire group becomes afraid. And it's not through some kind of telepathic communication, it's just very visual or auditory in some cases. And there's even rumors of smell too. We release pheromones of some sorts, and there's a lot of evidence for and against that, and I won't divulge right here. But the fact of the matter isn't all these lots of psychic things people talk about aren't really anything special. They're just amazingly complex biological responses, and really a good sign of just how amazing our brain is. And in tests, they've done lots of tests on this where they'll have people in separate rooms and stuff, and there's very little evidence to show that your emotions will carry across distances. There's been a lot of bad studies on it, twins and everything to try and prove it, but when you review the experimental design, they're never very good, or they jump to conclusions without very much data. But as far as actual good, legitimate tests go, there's very little evidence to suggest that you can psychically tell how someone's feeling. Most of it's face-to-face. There's also interesting thing they've started seeing is that with more nonverbal communication, like your texting and stuff, you can still pick up on how someone's doing, but that has to do with word choice and everything. You probably talk differently when you're angry or upset or happy, use different word choice and whatnot, and that can be picked up on. If you're normally using very superfluous language, and then you start talking in simple 3-word sentences, it's a pretty good indicator that something's up. And phone calls are even worse for it, because then you have tone of voice. Most communication is nonverbal, they say. By communication, that generally means something different than what words are being said. But your nonverbal communication displays most of your emotions, be it tone of voice, body language, smells, sounds, behavior. Behavior is probably the biggest indication of emotion there is. But yeah, we're fairly well evolved to sensing this, analyzing it, and then making predictions based on it. It's not a psychic power, when some people make it seem like